afternoon and welcome to AW Services. Today's video is how to add oil and how to start a generator, a pressure washer, but in general how to start a small engine for the first time ever from brand new. So anytime you buy a generator, a pressure washer, anything that uses a small single cylinder petrol engine or a diesel engine, it will come to you shipped without any oil and without any petrol. Always good with any piece of new equipment to read and go through the owner's manual, look at all the technical specifications and to understand all the written wording before you try to start the piece of equipment in question, because you could end up damaging it or voiding its warranty from you. So use that owner manual. So for this particular generator we're going to fill with oil for the first time. So we need to look around at the crankcase, which is the bottom half of the engine, and locate the oil filler plug to the sump. So this case, it's a small black thumb screw. Take that out, put it to one side, be careful not to get any grit or debris in that. So that is our crankcase oil filler hole. With some generators you get funnels. With this particular model you get what I call a shiwi, because it looks like you can stand up over a female, locate that against your lady parts and have a wee. But in this case it's a very well designed funnel. That locates into our crankcase, and then with oil, this particular model takes 0.6 litres SAE 30, which is a generic oil for most small single cylinder 4-stroke petrol engines. Seven P's to remember: prior planning and preparation prevents piss poor performance. If you get all those right, you'll be able to look after your equipment. So with your oil, pick it up so you don't drop it, pick up your small funnel and slowly begin to pour in increments, allowing it to seep into the crankcase and gain a level as we go, and not overfill it so it splurges out everywhere. Always be cautious of the environment and spilling oils and lubricants in places where they could be deemed dangerous or will damage the ecology of where you are. So putting it in, making sure also that your engine, your piece of equipment is on level flat ground as you go. And when you fill them, you really want to make sure that it's just on the herringbone crisscrossed line of the dipstick, which generally is at the bottom of the thread in the crankcase, and that applies to Honda GX engines as well. So taking our time to fill it, not rushing. Be careful not to introduce any debris or grit into the engine. I'm doing this at a weird angle because I'm trying to present it to the camera, so it may look a bit awkward to you, and it's definitely awkward to me. However, a bit of kitchen towel or an old rag to hand. Testing our level. A little bit more. It's always best to go really slow and put little bits in at a time, because when you put too much in you can't get too much out, if that makes sense, unless you've got a little pump. Just check our level, screw our drain plug dipstick combination back in, a little tiny touch more. With this particular machine and many others, you can find out its exact exact capacity and fill a measuring jug with that exact amount and just fill it straight away. But doing that, you need to take your time, allow for air and trapped air to come out. So a small dipstick. Our oil is just at the base of the thread. I'm saying that because I'm saying it from experience. Try not to make a mess. So that oil is right. In goes our dipstick. When you screw your dipstick in, ensure that it sits correctly, it's not cross-threaded, and it's only ever finger tight. Remembering it is plastic, any over tightening of that will damage it. So our oil goes to one side, we wipe our funnel off. So the next step, this is the best step and the way that you can make your engine last longer from its first initial start. So ensuring our fuel is turned off, which it is because we don't have any fuel in it, and the engine is in the off position. We don't want to rip at the pull start, we want to pull it out to feel its spring bite on the recoil and just very slowly turn it over a few times. What this does is circulates the oil through the crankcase, through the bearing material on the piston and the crankshaft, also the con rod, which is the connecting rod to the piston. It's lubricated, and when we start it for the first time, that ensures that the engine is well lubricated before we add massive amounts of heat and fuel to that mixture. So that's our oil added. With this engine now, I'll let this run, and 20 hours running, not 20 hours, but 20 hours of solid running. After that period, I will then drain the oil out, dispose of that safely, responsibly, and refill with brand new oil. That's to ensure that this oil is only sacrificial use and for its first time, that if there is any material from its manufacturing process, that's flushed through and disposed of before we start running it all the time. So with all your generators, most engines, good quality ones, not cheap Chinesium, you should get a fuel strainer in the tank. That ensures that no debris sits in the fuel. Ensure that that's clean as well. Then with our can of unleaded petrol and our funnel, we'll proceed to fill the tank. Doing this slowly again to ensure we don't have air bubbles. I'm only putting in a few litres just to start it. This tank I believe holds 10 to 15 I believe. Taking your time to fill the tank will ensure that you don't spill fuel everywhere, and also when you start it for the first time, if there is any fuel that you spill, be very mindful that it is flammable and it's a fire and an explosion risk, and to ensure the fuel can is locked tight, tightened up, secured and put well away from the engine to ensure that it doesn't explode. Ensure the fuel cap sits on correctly. Turn our fuel tap on. We'll then pull our choke out. We will then turn our engine switch to on, ensuring our economy automatic voltage regulator switch is switched off because we want it to rev normally for its first time. The fuel cock's on. We've allowed a few seconds of fuel to leave the tank to enter through the fuel petcock, which is the fuel valve, and into the bowl of our carburettor, and to allow that to prime the carburettor. We've checked the oil, we've made sure there's the right amount of oil in there, we've pulled the engine over before starting it to ensure that any bearing and wear material is lubricated before its first use. Again, pull start, pull it out till you feel it bite. That's how you start an engine first time. So that's how we fill our oil, we check that our levels, and we use our starting procedure for the first time on a small engine. If you like the video and you find it helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to ask below. I don't do links, as you can find things via Google, and if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. It will help my channel grow, and also hit the bell icon. Thank you very much for watching AW Services.